Welcome to this special Italian wine podcast broadcast. This episode is a recording off Clubhouse, the popular drop-in audio chat. This Clubhouse session was taken from the Wine Business Club and Italian Wine Club. Listen in as wine lovers and experts alike engage in some great conversation on a range of topics in wine. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinepodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. And remember to subscribe and rate our show wherever you tune in.
My name's Stevie Kim, and welcome to our weekly room dedicated to Italian wines. And this is the Italian Wine Club. Thank you for joining us today. Backed by popular demand, we will once again be talking to the three musketeers, namely Gabriele Gorelli, the spanking new master of wine, Pietro Russo, and Andrea Lonardi. They not only are friends, they are study buddies. So we love having them back. With them, we will kick off the call today with somewhat controversial, much debated natural wines. The good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll decide which one is the good, bad, and the ugly. Let me do a bit of housekeeping and clarify something that have been kind of bugging me, which some of you have put to my attention. Firstly, we are all here today, but we all have day jobs. We are doing this because we want to spread the love for, the gospel of Italian wine. We are here to represent no one other than ourselves. None of us are being paid for what we are about to do, to say, and the opinions are solely of the panelists, speakers, myself included. Secondly, the room will be recorded and replayed most likely on the Italian Wine Podcast for those who cannot participate on this call. Should any of the speakers who are brought up onto the stage not want to be recorded, please let me know. If you can, send me a DM, even better, so that nothing slips through the crack. So the Italian Wine Club is in its existence since about 2 months now, I think, and we are up to circa 1,800 members and followers as of today. I personally flagged a concerning matter to Clubhouse last night because crazy shit happened. All of a sudden, I found more than thousands of presumable friends to follow, which were clearly trolls, mostly Russians. I believe it's been fixed now, but please be on the lookout for any irregular activities with your notification. You have to have them on. So I don't know if it was because now it's more prone to trolls with being open to Androids and all of that stuff, but it's got so bad I had to turn off the notification. So just be on the lookout for that. And lastly, if you've got a special request for a topic in particular you'd like us to broach in the next week's coming, please ping me and we will try to also promote it with our speakers. We are completely open to your suggestions. As you know, the rooms that I personally host are mostly educational in nature, but other members have been organizing all sorts of rooms. So for those of you who've already been to my rooms in the past, I like to run it to the 1 hour mark. So please raise your hand after we've had the first round of discussion with the panelists, and then I will make sure to bring you up onto the stage. So let's get the show started. Today's room is natural wines. It's dedicated to the natural wines, the good, the bad, and the ugly from Italy. I like to start with Pietro Russo. Ciao, Pietro.
Hi, Stevie. Hi, everybody.
How are you? Of course, Pietro he's the winemaker for Donna Fugata, but he has been since 2010. He's done about 20 harvests already, so all over the world, including in France and Spain and New Zealand, etc. And the great thing is that Pietro, Gabriele, and Andrea together. Oh, I see. Where is Andrea? I don't.
It's the same problem as last time. It's joined as a listener, and I can actually bring him.
Here, let me bring him up.
I don't know why.
Yeah, it's because he doesn't follow me, so I can't tag him as a speaker. So unless he follows me, will happen all the time. So, he's kind of stubborn. Okay, so this is fine.
Okay,
we brought him up now. Okay. So let's start with Pietro in the meantime. Andrea, I'm going to mute you for now. Okay, there you go, because there's an echo. So Pietro, I was about to say that these three buddies, they've also worked on Italy chapter for the Sotheby's Wine Encyclopedia, the new edition, which is quite exciting. So they're true experts. And I like to start with Pietro, the winemaker. So I kind of feel like, before we start, this is such a controversial topic, but I would like to start kind of in an easy way. Let's ease into this natural wine discussion. And I'd like to ask Pietro, first of all, if he can first define what organic and biodynamic wines are, if he wouldn't mind.
Yeah, hi Stevie again, and thank you for having us again. I think the topic of tonight is the link with the last episode about old wines. Because again, there is no legal definition. I will start by create the basis for the discussion tonight. So it's important to notice that there is not an official definition of the term natural. Then we will go to organic and biodynamic. There are still no certification or legislation that can clearly define what a natural wine is, at least in Italy. To simplify the concept, we have convened that with the term natural, we can encapsulate all wine categories that share a low interventionist profile across the production. So from the vineyard to the winery, a minimal intervention approach. So some of these approaches by the growers can be certified organic or biodynamic, while others are not certified, but producers can claim the naturality of the product. So that means both organic and biodynamics, these are way of production that where the grower should take care of the vineyard and vinify the grapes according to the rules of their respective methods. This include avoiding the use of herbicides or pesticides, avoiding any chemical fertilizers, and there are plenty of them. But then in the winery, this is the most important things, I think. And then in the wineries, the low use or any use of additives, the exclusive use of indigenous yeast, the manual harvest, and then these practices exclude any fining and filtration that should be avoided. There are some exceptions, of course. There are some can be possible in organic, something cannot be possible in biodynamics. I will not go into such detail because it's very big discussion. But for example, the use of sulfur, it is accepted at different level across this way of production, or can be avoided at the same time. So it's you see why it's a very controversial.
But if you,
topic.
I know there's no legal definition of natural wine, but if you were to explain to, like, I don't know, first year student who's studying wine, or actually just to a journalist who's not a wine writer, how would you explain what natural wine is?
Natural wine is much more about an ethical approach, much more than a combination of practices described by rules. That means it's a holistic way of living and working the soil, or taking care of the grapes, and then translating this into let's say very low intervention wine. This is one of the aims, is to keep the soul of the terroir and the soul of the grapes. So this will be maybe not an easy definition, but yes, it's a bit the message.
And what about Gabriele? What do they? I mean, I know you've studied together, but how does the master of wine? How do they define natural wine?
I think, hi, Stevie.
Hi.
First of all, hi, everyone. I think, as Pietro said, this is a topic that has overly blurred borders. So there is no actual definition for organic wine. And you know that because we have been discussing about wine without walls a bit for the competition this year, because we wanted to, in a way, to entail the spirit of the natural, the organic, and the biodynamic wines. And by the way, we know what organic wine is, we know what biodynamic wines are, and the certification that encapsulates these practices. But with natural, we can refer as both biodynamic and organic, but it's something more. And I think it's more leaving the wine able to do whatever it wants. It's less managed sort of winemaking process, and it's something that, as Pietro said, once again, it's more ethical than actually procedural. It's not on the process. It's respecting the wine's interaction with soil, with the oxygen and everything, and in some ways producing what it comes most of the time. But in some cases, some wonderful examples, some other cases, it's something that the consumers are, in a way, and I think we should cover this thing after, but sort of prepared to have profile which is not, in a way, clean, which is not too polished. If I'm clear.
Okay, so I know that natural wine is kind of a popular topic. You can say. But how did it all start? Like, when was the first, when people started saying that a wine was natural, or the concept of natural wine? Pietro, would you like to take that?
Yeah. If you want to make a short history of this movement, we can say that the first real natural wine movement comes from the beginning of the 20th century in Montpellier, in France again, with riots of growers that were fighting to ban some practices that were pretty abused at that time, that were chaptalization and the addition of water into the wine. Then it continues with...
So when was that again? I'm sorry.
It was in the 1907, precisely.
Okay, in the early 1900s. Okay.
Yes. And then we can continue with the consequences of the industrial development, the industrial revolution that affected agriculture after the Second World War, and the use and abuse of pesticides, chemical fertilizers that have reduced the natural fertility of soil. I think that since then we have lost a lot of intrinsic biodiversity of most viticultural areas of the world, of the old world especially, and the natural wine movement claiming that wines, especially during the 80s, have lost their source. Again, another movement of natural wine producers, especially in Burgundy, especially in the Beaujolais area. All this has contributed again in resurging the interest in more traditional approaches for viticulture and winemaking, while at the same time to give more emphasis and attention to the environment. So if we can say the art of winemaking has been passed around from generation to generation, it dates back to a time where modern technology was not yet available. Hence, today natural winemakers pretend to work as closely as possible to nature and to let us express the wines and instead of the human interference. then we can say there was it became quite a popular and trendy, let's say, movement after the after 2000, and now it's increasing.
Okay, so let me go to Andrea now. Ciao, Andrea.
Ciao, Stevie. How are you?
Yeah, I think you're the only person who refuses to follow me, so I can't even tag you as a speaker. But let's keep up this game. Okay, so as you know, Andrea Lonardi, he's the COO of Bertani Domains. He's kind of out of the three lot, he's kind of the more commercial person, if you will. So I'd like to talk to you immediately about the natural wine market. So this trend of the sexy side of natural wines, why is natural wine has become so popular now, in your opinion?
Well, Stevie, there are three major reasons because natural wines, they are very popular right now. There's one that is related to market trends, and especially when we are looking to certain type of market. I'm talking in that case, especially from Scandinavian market and Canadian market, where there are organic wines, especially, and natural wines. They are growing very well. Give you an example to be very. If you see the last proposal for listing from SAQ or LCBO in Canada, most of the product there, there's something related to natural winemaking. They can be bio, they can be organic, they can be low ABV. That is the group where they like to call the SOLA product, so sustainable, organic, low ABV, and alternative wines. There is a second reason that is related to some specific area where we can see some very interesting trends that Gabriele also know very well. That is what we call in the metropolitan areas where there is a better segmentation of the market, where you have consumers that they are looking, that they are what we can define curious consumer, that they are looking for wines that they have a very low intervention inside. And there is a third reason, because they are increasing, because there is an ethical approach also from the production side, where producers, they are paying more attention to sustainability. And for that reason, there might be a large scale of touch points that we can cover, we can touch in the production side. There is always something that is love. So I laugh when I see it. I was telling to both these guys yesterday when we were preparing this meeting, and I say yesterday I saw a product that was bio, that was in a bottle that was probably a kilo of glass. So there is some very important inconsistency inside the bio, but there is for sure an interest made that when you are bio, you are organic, or you are natural. The value of the wine, the terms that you use to evaluate the quality of the wine change in your mind and probably bring you in another dimension to taste or to appreciate the wine. The real problem is that we have a strong lack in terms of legislation, and we have also to pay attention in order to be very loyal, very transparent to this type of consumer.
So Andrea, I don't know if you know, or if you can give us some indication as to or where we can find information about kind of the size in terms of the production size, as well as the producers or the consumption of natural wines. I know that Italy is kind of on the top tier in terms of both production and consumption of natural wines. Is that a fair thing to say?
It's not the first one in terms of consumption, but it is the largest surface in the wine world in terms of viticulture surface in terms of bio. But bio is part of what we can define the natural wines. I'm not completely natural wines. The largest market in terms of consumption for bioproduct or natural wines are for sure the Scandinavian markets, and Canada is growing. But one of the first markets that was quite important in the past was Germany, but also Italy started to have a great segmentation into the supply chain. Especially if you think that you start to have, I'll give you an example, like now Natura C. So you start to have specific chains that are focusing this type of products. What maybe could be interesting is better define which type of natural wine are you referring. Because if you're really referring to natural wines, so wines that have a very low minimal intervention, there are some specific markets that they might be interesting, but they're just some specific local areas that is most of the time the most important metropolitan areas. But if you want to have a check on these numbers, there is a nice review made by Corriere Vinicolo that is quite interesting with all the numbers about bioproduct especially. And just to give you an example about the last trends that I got from Dennis Pantini 2 weeks ago, in Italy, bio wines are growing 24% in the last 3 months versus last year, when the normal category of wine is growing 16%. So people are moving are consuming with an higher percentage bioproduct versus normal, or let's say conventional type of wines.
Okay, great. Let me just quickly reset the room. We're talking about natural wines. I'm going to ask a question to Gabriele, and then we'll start bringing some people up onto the stage. So please raise your hands if you have any questions or comments about natural wines from Italy, especially, because this is the Italian wine room. Ciao, Gabriele.
Oh, sorry. I couldn't unlock my
I
mic.
know. You're such Mr. Technology. It's a good thing you're a master of wine. Listen, let's talk about now, like
I'm a natural user.
Yeah. Let's
go
go like really practical side now to contextualize what it means in terms of Italy specifically. What type of styles are there in natural wines? Basically everything, right?
Yes, but there are a couple of them which are more specific to natural wine, which I would say on the sparkling, there is a so-called pet nat, so pétillant naturel. So it's ancestral method. So it's something that started fermenting outside of the bottle and then went into the bottle while fermenting. So it's something that's not disgorged, something that still has lees on, and I think has lower, in a way, pressure compared to bottle fermented classic methods, and a bit, degree of funkiness is often expected, and this is a very well growing sort of style for natural wines. And the other one, for sure, is the skin contact white wines or orange. In a way, this style, once again, could be called ancestral, because in the past, especially in Italy, almost all the wines were macerated, so had skin contact because of logistics and because of the protection from the oxidation in the cellar. So you needed to have some antioxidants, some polyphenols to protect the wine from the oxidation, and you did it via the maceration of the skins of the wine. So you fermented almost like what you would have done with red grapes. So those two styles are the ones that are most common for orange wines. But of course, regular dry reds and a bit of rosé are there too, of course.
But what is kind of the most popular area where they produce like kind of the natural wines? Is it concentrated in the north, or is it, popular in the south, or just everywhere?
I think as with Italy, as when we speak about Italy, it's always something patchy. So it will be everywhere a bit, and probably there is an aggregation on the border with Slovenia with a lot of orange wines which are bordering the natural spirit, the natural philosophy. So Friuli, it's a place. But for example, if we're talking about biodynamics, the president of the Meter Association, and so certification body for biodynamics, is in Alto Adige, where they also are focused, and also in Trentino, they have some specific focus on natural wines, like talking about Lageder or people like Poyer and Sandri in Trentino. But there is a strange phenomenon, I think, where we can sort of group the natural wine people, but as I saw in the past, some of them, they do prioritize the fact that they're natural on the market. So the market knows that they're natural before knowing that they're good, or before knowing what their name is. But some other, speaking like in Piedmont, there is Giuseppe Rinaldi, for example, it is him, and then it's a natural wine. So only after you know that it is a natural wine. And this, I think, links strongly the natural wine philosophy to the endeavor of that people have for their production.
Okay.
So there are several approaches on that.
Okay, great. So listen, what I'd like to do now is kind of play a game with the three of you. And if anyone would like to join, I would like to kind of talk about the must try, or kind of the benchmark natural wines. Let's mention a couple of them from each of you. I guess, Pietro, why don't you tell us, share with us, in your opinion, which are the must-try wine producers for natural wine from Sicily, since you're Sicilian?
Okay, let's see. I think 2 areas. I will say Kos. Russo Pinti starting the natural wine movement early during the early 90s in the area of Vittoria, c'era solo di Vittoria, di OCG. So he's maybe the producer, the natural wine producer. And then I think now it's another controversial benchmark. I will say Marco De Bartoli, that started in Marsala maybe before then Giusto Pinti. His work towards natural wine and true wines from the Occidental Sicily.
Why is De Bartoli so controversial, in your opinion?
He was a controversial person in
other than being Sicilian.
Yeah, but it was quite character in the period of industrialization of Marsala, and in the rise and importance of cooperatives. He trusted that the true wines should come from the vineyards, and he was really something to pursue, really a character that has led the way towards a new generation of producers in Sicily.
Okay, what about you, Gabriele? Let's take Tuscany, kind of the must-try, benchmark, natural wine producers from Tuscany.
I think if I had to speak about Tuscany, I'd go to Stefano Amerighi, which is a producer based in Cortona. He's doing Syrah, and he went to the Rhone to learn how to produce Syrah in the Cortona enclave. And he also, in a way, had the opportunity to experiment all what are the practices, the ancestral practices for wine production. So the fact that their grapes are food trodden, the fact they use very low sulfites, if any, no stabilization, no filtration, and of course natural fermentation. So wild yeast, this sort of stuff. And I think he is actually the benchmark for natural wines in Tuscany.
Any wine in particular that you can recommend?
Yes. They're Apice, which is Cortona Syrah DOC, but is top. It's top wine. So Apice is the peak of the pyramid, no, in Italian.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a great wine. And since I will go having lunch after a few months now in Cortona just this Saturday, I think this is the wine I will order.
And what is
what
is the price range of Amerighi?
Oh, I think for the Apice we're about 35, something like that.
Like retail in the shops.
Retail, yeah, in the shop, it's great.
So affordable.
Affordable. Yeah, probably with the Apice, some vintages will be a bit higher, but I tell you that we did a sort of Syrah symposium, and we compared these wines together with very big names, even in the Rhone, and it never came out of this tasting badly. On the contrary, it was always one of the three top and performing.
Okay.
And
have you got another producer from Tuscany?
Well, from Tuscany, no, is difficult. There is another guy in Barberino, which is also a friend of mine, but it's very, very limited production. It's Alemasse. Robin, is a friend. He's doing a bit of a maceration, a bit of natural approach, low sulfites again, no stabilization, no filtration, following the moon cycles to prune, to do the bottlings, to do the rackings, to do all this stuff. And it's actually a Chianti. And it's, I think, more than interesting, because you can tell it's a Chianti, which is, I think it's very important for a natural wine, because if you, the concept beside natural wine, which I didn't talk about earlier, it's being disruptive. So you wouldn't expect natural wine being inside such an appellation such as Chianti, no? So you would expect it to be Vino d'Italia, so regular table wine, or be Tuscany IGT, so there is no tasting commission, this sort of stuff. So you can do whatever you want. You are not forced to stay in a specific range of sensory assessment that is done in the appellation, in the DOC appellation. But in this case, I like the fact that these guys, both Amerighi and Lemasse, these guys are natural, but their terroir, their spirit, and the varieties beside their wine they produce are actually shining through the glass, which is very important to me.
Great. Andrea.
Wait.
Hey, wait. Are you still alive?
Wait.
Listen. Yes. How about Veneto?
You want some producer?
Yeah,
Veneto,
I need Veneto, since you're like 100% Veneto.
Genetically, I'm Austrian. Venetian. No, I'm joking. And in Veneto, we have one of the pioneers of the Italian natural wines, that is Angiolino Maule. Let's say it was the first or one of the three starting to produce wine in a very natural way, in a very strongly biodynamic many years ago. the guy that completely changed his philosophy of making wine, and he decided to embrace the biodynamics. But I would like also to put a great wine woman in the middle, because I think that there is also a female part of the natural wines that is part of this movement, and she is Marinella Camerani. That is a woman
Where is she from?
Is Corte Sant'Alda. Marinella Camerani from Corte Sant'Alda, that is a winery located in the east side of Valpolicella.
Mm-hmm.
A very nice winery, a woman with an incredible character, an incredible commitment to biodynamic.
And what is she producing, Valpolicella?
She's producing Valpolicella Marrone and Valpolicella Superiore. That is a very nice wine. I think that she's located in the Valle di Mezzane, if I'm correct, but is across Valle di Mezzane. Yeah, Valle di Mezzane is where she is, and so it's a very nice place to visit, and with an incredible deep knowledge about terroir, soils. She's researching, because what I like about Marinella is that she combines the philosophy, the holistic approach that you have in natural wines, but with some research. Because, we can believe in moon and God, but sometimes we have also to make and sell wine, and in a very serious way. And for that reason, I think that there are for sure very good things in natural winemaking. I'm totally convinced that there are things that we can brought also inside the conventional production types. But I think that is what is important is when we can prove, and we can also research with some scientific approach this subject. And she's one of the winemakers that combine these two skills, these two aspects of the production.
I just want to let you know that the cleaning lady just turned off all the lights at the office, but that's fine. Okay. It's good. I'm completely in the dark, but that's fine. Let me just quickly reset the room. We're talking about natural wines from Italy, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I want to give a huge shout out to the front row, Paul, Carrie, ciao Christina, even if you're not via community, Sheila, Corinne, Rodrigo. You're a Spaniard, but if you want to come up and share with us your favorite Spanish natural wine, please do that. Andrea, Melissa, of course, from all of them from the VIA community. And then on the second row, we have Leica, Cynthia. Hello, you guys. And Ralph. Oh, Ralph's got the party hat. He's new in the block. And Rocco, you're a producer. You should come up and tell us about your wines. And Paula, ciao Paula Pavan from our office, each office from New York, and who is also Italian wine ambassador. And Diane, Annie, the new student, new candidate. Thank you all for coming. And if you have any questions, please raise your hand. Oh my God, Rodrigo, you're up already. Ciao, Rodrigo.
Ciao, Bella. Ciao a
Come
tutti.
estás?
Benissimo, grazie.
Listen, so what do you have to say about natural wine?
Well, first of all, I'm not Spanish. I'm from Chile.
Okay, all right. Rodrigo. For me, it's like Spaniard, Okay, forgive me.
It is. And I live in Paris in France. I've been here for over 30 years. And natural wine is the big craze here. We have natural wine bars, and people go for natural wines, and friends push over like natural wines. And basically what a natural wine is here is just the backyard, right? It smells bread everywhere. It's not great. It's funky, it's fizzy, it's not clarified, and no one knows really what natural wine is. So it's kind of a marketing issue. This is what Andrea was talking about early on. And I drink Grafner and Radicon, right, from the Slovenian border. That's what I like.
Yeah, they're, of course, the founding fathers of orange wines. We haven't spoken about that. Gabriele, what? I know you have kind of a proclivity to orange wines. What are your thoughts about the orange wines and some benchmark producers? Not just maybe, of course, Radicon, Grosvenor, everybody knows. Are there any others you can recommend? Maybe less expensive, also less pricey?
Yeah, there is one which also agrees on the so-called Oslavia Protocol. So they do have a sort of gentleman agreement where they do, share practices to get to that specific orange wine style of Slovenian border. And this is called Oslavia Protocol because of the name of the city where it was signed. And for example, it does entails the fact that the wine must be at least 26 days on the skins. And there is this guy, which is pretty young. His name is Damian Podvercic. And he does produce a less, I would say, extreme sort of wine compared to Radicon and Grosvenor, and also less aged, because if you look at the vintages of those two producers which are released now, those are sensitively mature, I would say. But this guy is producing something like from a couple of years ago, so no excessive maturity, but a great profile. You can really feel the skins. You feel the tannins on these wines, and these wines are deep, age-worthy, but already well giving and generously, expressing themselves. Damian Podvercic.
Yeah, okay. He's actually on our list too. You know what we're going to do for the audience and for those who can attend tonight, we're going to list all the wines that we've spoken about, and then we will put it in the description box once we go live with the podcast. That's what we'll do. But you guys will have to cooperate on that. Ciao, Sheila. Hi.
So,
have you got a question for our panelists, or would you like to contribute in some way?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention two other natural wine producers in Italy. One is a woman winery founded by Antonella Magnoli in Maremma, and that's La Maliosa. And another is in Piedmont, Lorenzo Carino. And they both have created this method for a procedure for cultivating and making natural wine called the Carino method, which came about when Antonella started her winery and realized there really wasn't clarity around what natural wine is.
Oh, thank you, Sheila, for that. I was going to ask Pietro. It's kind of a cheeky question. Would you consider Col Fondo a natural wine? What is your opinion about that, Pietro, since you're the winemaker?
Well, actually, this is an interesting question because Col Fondo is really booming phenomenon in.
Can you just explain to everybody in the audience, for maybe just a handful, maybe they don't know what a Col Fondo is?
Yeah, Col Fondo is an ancestral method. It's a short, let's say, pet nut style with Glera grapes in the Prosecco area. Again, there is a protocol shared. And yes, I think it's very increasing. Very nice wines inside. So again, one of the names I would say Miotto is one of my best Col Fondo in this.
What is it called? I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Miotto.
Miotto.
Andrea Miotto. Yes. And it's It's a very interesting category because it gives really multi-layered sides compared to base prosecco or even prosecco from the best area. So it's for new occasion. You can only have it by appetizer. Also, you can have it with the dish. So one thing that we haven't said that sometimes natural wine can create new moments of consumption. This is one of the opportunities inside the natural wine category.
Okay, we have about...
Yeah, not only they can create new consumers that consume the wine in a different way that compared to the traditional, if you will, consumer. So which is even beyond that.
Yeah,
I wanted to just to add Casa Costepiane, which is a fantastic producer of Cold Fondo.
You're bringing up an interesting topic because we had a room like few weeks ago in the Russian wine market and the other room, wine business market, and one of the Psalms, she's kind of like an influencer. I'm going to have to mute you, Lan, because you're making an echo. One of the influencers, very popular influencer from Russia, she said like the Cold Fondo brings in a lot of the younger generation. So she's very grateful for this because maybe they're not as open to wine or they're not wine connoisseurs, but they like the taste of it, of Cold Fondo, and that kind of is the entry level to entice the wines into a different level, kind of like the upsell. And I thought that was terribly interesting. I had never thought about that.
Yeah, but it's always the same thing. It's about communication. It's about recognizing the value in a specific product. So these guys, those are not connoisseurs, as you said. These guys come from beer, probably, if you will, but they do want to have something which is distinctive, that has an identity, which is clearly shining through the glass, through the bottles. So it's a style that is becoming also a category on its own. It's even more, distinctive and peculiar than orange wine itself, because orange wine itself it's big world. But if you think about pet nat or Cold Fondo, this sort of style, and orange wines as well, so those are very specific in their expression, and people, especially in the orange wine area, do enjoy having the sense of belonging, sense of sharing the values with the wines that they drink, more than the just the profile that they have on the sensory analysis, because they don't do that in an I would say unbiased way. They know that they will drink something very peculiar, and because of that they belong, and they are into that new dimension, which is great in a way.
So while I have you, Gabriele, what about Abruzzo? Of course, I can think of a couple of very, very famous quote unquote natural winemakers. What are the benchmark wines from Abruzzo of natural wine?
I would say Pepe. Emilio Pepe is the producer for natural wine in Abruzzo, both the classic varieties, so the Trebbiano, the white, the Trebbiano d'Abruzzo, and the Montepulciano d'Abruzzo. And this is a producer that has been over the years very consistent, because this is something that you must reckon to producers that do act in such specific way. And I think it's the most reputed right now, and prices are starting to skyrocket, especially for specific vintages where the wine is more focused and and good on its own, quality-wise, without, once again, as I said before, without knowing that it is a natural wine. You know that this is perfect. This is something that it has a reputation on its own. After that, in the ideal scale of values that this wine encapsulates, there is the fact that this wine it's ethically made and it's natural, and there is the man behind. But it's the brand comes with some specific value, and the order is not necessarily saying it is a natural wine.
Okay, you guys, we have 10 more minutes.
If I could just chip in one sec on Emilio Pepe.
Sure.
I've been there twice. Emilio lives just above the cellar. He's 88. Business is run by his daughter. His granddaughter is served there. And it's impressive. They even tread the grapes by foot, old style. They add nothing. They rebottle the bottles before they ship them. They keep them as long as they think they're not ready to be drunk. It's fantastic. And to add to the grapes, he does. There are not enough producers of Pecorino to do a DOC, but it's fantastic. It's the first time that I understood, for example, what a structure in a wine is, right? And it's tasting it with cheeses and not about flavors, but about just the structure, how beautiful the wines are at Emilio Pepe.
Okay. Thank you, Rodrigo. We have 10 more minutes, so actually a little less even. This is your last chance to raise your hands to come up onto the stage to either ask a question or tell us about your favorite natural wine. In the meantime, we have Beatrice, our favorite student. Ciao, Beatrice. Have you got a question for our panelists?
Hi, Stevie. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I have not a question, but a suggestion. And I suggest you to try Col Fondo by Belle Caselle, because it's very, very particular and typical. I say this because I live near Asolo, where the Belle Caselle is. And last week we had done a vertical from 2009 since 2019 with Prosecco Col Fondo, and it was very, very interesting. So I suggest you to try just this.
Great.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Ciao, Lan.
Sorry, I can ask a question to Beatrice. How does a Prosecco Col Fondo evolve? I mean, Prosecco 12 years. How is the sensory profile of that wine?
It was incredible, very, very incredible, and the center were like bread, really. And for example, someone that it is not too much training to drink bubbles, so champenoise or charmat, can be spiced up in Italian, because he or she can think were a classic method, really. And this Prosecco talk to you with a very fine bubble, not the common big bubble that most Prosecco has. And this is very elegant, and I never had tried an old Prosecco like 2009, but I was very, very, very enthusiastic for this fantastic experience, thanks to Luca, that is the producer. And so for this why I suggest, if you went here in Veneto, to come to Belle Caselle, for sure.
Okay,
right,
so
great.
Thank you for that clarification. Ciao, Lan.
Hi, Stevie. Ciao tutti. As usual, I have two questions. Am I allowed to ask the
Yeah, okay. Just be quick about it. Thanks, Lan.
Okay, the first question is for you, actually, because Italy is such an important country in the field of natural wine, not just because two of the most important associations are founded here, Vini Natura and Vini Vedi, I think, but also because in 2017 World of Wine competition, Decanter selected 30 natural wines, and Italy contributed 8 of them. So my question for Stevie is, if I'm our importer, I want to say find some interesting natural Italian wines. Which event or which fair should I go? Then I have a separate question for the Three Musketeers. I think Alice Spring actually mentioned how we should appreciate natural wines. So she brought up 8 elements: emotional impact, balance, savory quality, evolution in glass, transparency, sense of place, drinkability, and loveliness. So those 8 elements are totally different from the conventional or say standard wine tasting techniques or terms we are using in our normal tastings. I wonder what are your comments on this, and how should we approach natural wine when we are tasting them or blind tasting them?
Well, let's start with Andrea, please.
Not easy at all, but if you are out of Italy, one of the most beautiful fair for bio wines is Vin Bio. It's in Montpellier. That is where I started to taste natural wines, and I did my thesis on 1996 on natural wines. I was a student in Montpellier, and I did a thesis. Thanks for that, because I visited the fair, and after that I started to be interested about this type of wines, and remain one of the most important fair in the wine world for organic wines. In terms of tasting and profile and how natural wines can influence the structure, the terroir elements that you can find in a glass, I want to be very honest with you. Professor Ferrarini, that was one of the most, let's say, one of the best professors in enology of the last 20 years after Ribeiro Gaillon in Bordeaux, and he was located in Verona, passed away a few years ago, a very great scientist, always say that the natural product of grapes is vinegar. And I still think in that way. So we have always to pay attention about nature. We can use some natural tools, some natural elements, but for me, the game is stopping when, if you don't take care about something, that influences the profile of the wine, influence the taste of the grape variety, cover the profile of the soil where you grow the grapes, and produce a wine that has a certain type of global taste that you can find. It doesn't matter where they come from. Give you an example. 2 weeks ago, I tasted in a blind tasting an orange wine that was made with a natural approach. And finally, they asked me where it's come from. And I say, I don't know, maybe it could be a Ribolla for Friuli, maybe it could be something from Croatia, maybe it could be something from Georgia. It was very difficult to find, to realize. And finally, they told me, yeah, this type of wine, you cannot say where it's come from. You can only say which is the way how they are making this type of wine. So I think that we have also to consider this type of aspect. And the game for me finish when we cover terroir, we cover grape variety, we cover the soil and the sense of place by the mistakes that could be present inside the wine. And so, as Gabriele said before, there must be other values that you use to judge these wines that are not the traditional values that you put in your nose, in your mouth, in order to judge and to evaluate the quality that you have in the glass.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Andrea. Lan, for natural wines, of course, when it comes to me, the raw fair, right? That's the Isabelle Legeron. She's another MW who started this tour, and she invented the raw fair. And that's, if you want to do really go from radical to everything of natural wines, that's kind of the place I would go. I'm going to go to the last speaker, Saman, and if you like the room today and you like to, you're interested in joining us next time, please join our wine club to spread the gospel of Italian wine. We are here to create the Italian wine community. Okay, Saman, welcome. Have you got a question?
Yes, my question is, I guess, about for the growers, for the academics. I mean, what is the vision to adapt to these hotter and hotter vintages? I mean, I've certainly had great Barolos at 15 or more % ABV. Like they are uniquely balanced, but it's things are at the precipice here, and with natural winemaking, if the natural acidity cannot be preserved, it seems like all the rest, you're subject to a lot of spoilage.
Saman, is your question, is natural wine becoming more difficult to make? Is that your question?
Well, I think inherent to it, it's going to magnify kind of since you cannot manipulate with acidification, with reverse osmosis to correct for these hot vintages. What is the vision to adapt to these circumstances?
Okay, I'm going to go to Pietro for that, the winemaker. I feel like this is a winemaker question.
Yeah, let's say it's quite transversal question. I will say that these traits are quite common to both conventional and natural wine world. These are the same traits because of the climate change and heat and frost and all these things. And I think that the responses should come from study, from a scientific approach, and in some way it is the opposite that someone says. I think that natural wines or the natural approach to viticulture has probably some responses more than the conventional approach to the work in the soil or taking care of the my microbial life or biodiversity. Then, just to mention, there are some, for example, Burgundian producers that say that confess that when they translated they moved to biodynamics, they found more acidic wines, more fresher wines. So I don't know which is the response, but probably we should be much more overt and much more open to see which could be the way of adaptation and don't have preconcept in regard.
Okay, great. Pietro, thank you very much. Gabriele, would you like to say the last word before we close?
Yeah, I think, at the end of the day, it's all about experimentation, and you cannot experiment if you're not doing anything. So I don't think it's a market, it's not a selling point, not doing anything. I think the natural wine producers should adapt their narrative, their storytelling to something that is more related to what they do, or what they don't do, but in not doing something, I would say they are doing something else. And because of that, I tried with a great enologist, a great consultant winemaker of our days, but even past days, which is Maurizio Castelli, to do 2 wines, but for us, just 3,000 bottles to try, 2 natural wines. And we wanted to call them senza rete because we didn't want them to have this sort of safety net that someone is talking about. But at the end of the day, and I think my winemakers friends will agree, if you have good grapes, everything goes into the right direction. And it's all about managing the vineyard correctly. So once again, it's managing. So it's working in a specific way. It's not waiting for the nature to do anything. you need to address some specificities and peculiarities of the vineyard in order to have your endeavor. And this is I think the main point is the pillar of the natural wine thing. It's not doing anything; it's doing less, but doing more in a more holistic way. That's my understanding.
Did you like that? That was my special effect. Okay. Listen.
What was that? Sorry?
Well, that was my special effect.
Oh.
The clapping. Okay. Listen, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Gabriele, Pietro, Andrea, Rodrigo, Sheila, Beatrice, Lan, Saman, and everybody else. So see you next time. Thank you very much.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, Cin Cin.